Hey everyone, it's Jonah with Vision Hustle Grow, and today I have my good friend Isaac here with me, and we are talking about the importance of following your dreams, and so we just had to let you in on it.
So yeah, man. I mean, I'm coming from the point. I get what you're saying. You've been preaching to it for me for a long time to follow my dreams. But dude, it's not that it's not that easy, especially at this age. I'm
Why not?
30 because I have responsibility.
Okay.
I have bills, and I'm not saying that I don't want to follow my dreams, but you're telling me, Isaac, quit your job that pays for everything you do.
Okay.
And go follow a dream, and I just don't see how that's.
Are you happy with what you do?
No, no, not really.
I mean, it's that simple. Debate's over.
I mean, it's not about, but that's the reality of it. I get what you're saying, but the reality of it is happiness over living my life. Like, I feel like it's almost to the point where if I didn't make a move when I was 18 or 20 or whatever, like it's too late now.
So, you live one life. Let's be clear about that. There's no redo, there's no retake, there's no you going back living your 30 years. You can't relive it. So look back to see if what you're doing today is where you wanted to be 5 or 10 years ago. And if it's not, then start reassessing it. And I'm not saying to quit your job. You have to make calculated risk. You know, when I first started my business, I didn't just up and jump ship. I had to make strategic decisions. I had to make sure I had some sort of emergency fund, my $300, before I made the jump.
Yeah.
So I only had $300. But what did that allow me to do? Grind, hustle. Because when you have that savings of 6 months, like for me, that's comfortable. And when you're comfortable, you don't grow. So I was able to challenge myself. And now let me be clear. Not everybody's built like this. Not everybody's made to be an entrepreneur. A lot of people dream of it. So in my case, as being an entrepreneur, what's your dream?
I mean, I'm entrepreneur as well. That's
Okay.
100% what it is. I don't want to work the 9 to 5, but I mean, it's just, it's honestly like the biggest dream crusher. It's
Dreams make life worth living, right? If you are living and doing what it is that you love, you will find a way to be able to achieve what it is that you're trying to do. Now, if you're going to a 9 to 5 and you hate it, well, then not only are you going to be emotionally drained and mentally drained, when you get home, all you're going to want to do is sit back, relax, breathe, wake up and do it all over again.
Yeah.
So are you really living? Are you really living life? So it boils down to two things. Like, are you willing to make sacrifices?
Yeah.
I make sacrifices almost every day in order to be able to make my businesses succeed. Now, a lot of people are not willing to make sacrifices, right? And so those people those dream chasers, I believe, are people who really have high expectations without putting in any of the work. And that's not how it works. The 1% is 1% for a reason, because they're willing to sacrifice it, they're willing to put in the work. They're willing to go after their dreams. They're willing to do anything and not allow anything to stand in their way. And that's what I mean. Like, now, if you're telling me, hey, I want to sell snow cones in Alaska during the winter,
Yeah.
is that a smart move? Is that a strategic move? No. Now, if you want to start snow cones and you want to, move to Florida where it's warm year round, well, then you're making a strategic move. Now, if you're just jumping ship with no goals or no vision in mind, well, then guess what? You're going to fail.
I mean, but failure is all part. I think that's the biggest. Part
of the learning lesson.
But that at this point, at again being 30 years old, look, I mean,
You're young, man.
Yeah.
Age is nothing but a number.
That's true, but age does come with responsibility.
Of course.
And some of us at 30 years old, a lot of people now have, they have a mortgage, they have kids, they have a whole lot of responsibility now, and it's getting to the point to where it's like, I get it, I get follow your dreams, but I think what the biggest issue is failure at at 30, with having the responsibilities that a lot of people have, failure isn't an option.
Failure is always an option.
How isn't it an option?
Failure is how you learn. Failure is how you grow.
But failure is also going to be my family pummeling and losing my house. And
Well, if you're being strategic and you're following your dreams and you're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing, you're doing the right steps and you're not cutting corners, then it's just you're destined for success. Now, you have to be patient. You can't expect for it to happen overnight. What I have today is a product of what the last 7 or 8 years of my life have been. If you were to look into my life every single day and the sacrifices that I do and the things that I have to do in order to be able to, if you see what I do on a daily basis to get to where I am today, you think I'm crazy.
Yeah.
Working around the clock, doing things. And here's the thing, like, not everything that you set out to do is going to be accomplished. But what will happen is that if you are a person who is determined to make it, regardless of what the situation is that you'll take that as a learning lesson. And you'll apply that to the next thing. Just like me. I failed. I've told you before, I failed in businesses because of finances and so forth. And now those are one of my greatest strengths. And that's why my businesses are at the level that they're at. I took a mistake. I took a failure. I learned from that. And I was able to implement it. My dream has always been to do business, right? Now, was this the first business that I started? No. A lot of people, they don't really care about my other businesses and about how I failed. They want to know how I was able to get to where I'm at right now. But really, that's why I'm here. Because I failed. Because I learned. Because I took I took that and I was able to turn the negative into a positive. And that's what a lot of people aren't able to do in life. They hit one roadblock and it completely shuts them down. So when you're going after your dream, nothing stands in your way. It takes a while. It's a process.
I think that's one of the biggest misconception is though. I mean, even you saying right now that it took you 7 years to get here. You hear so many stories of entrepreneurs that are just like, boom, I quit my 9 to 5 because I didn't like it.
Man.
And then, next thing I knew, I was rich.
No, and that's the thing though. Anybody that tells you an overnight, why do you think people that win the lotto end up going broke within a year or two? They were broke for a reason because they didn't know how to manage their money, right? It doesn't matter what you do with that time. It doesn't matter, sorry. It doesn't matter what you do with that time, but it doesn't matter that you fail. It matters that you learn from it.
Yeah. I know. It's just, I don't know, what was your plan? What in a nutshell, what are the tips that you would say? Because
for me, what I was looking for, I wasn't number one is don't seek money.
Yeah.
Right? If you're doing things for money, you're doing things for the wrong reason. Let's be clear about that. If you are chasing money, you're chasing things.
But that's why I'm at my 9 to 5. I don't like my job, but I got bills. I got things to pay for.
I completely understand, and we all have bills to pay for. And let's. I'm not saying jump ship.
Money? How can you say don't chase money when bills have to be paid?
Well, bills have to be paid, but if you're doing all right, I'll give you my example. For me, starting businesses, right? I have to be strategic about it, right? When I quit my job, right? Yeah, I only had $300 to my name. However, I had already started. I was going to school full time. I was working 40 hours a week, and I was doing my business on the side, right? When I realized that my business was starting to pick up somewhat, and when I mean pick up, it was to barely pay for rent and food. That's when I was like, all right, you know what? I need Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Food, shelter, clothes, just the bare minimum. I didn't need much because I knew what I would be able to achieve if I was willing to sacrifice a year or two. You're single, right?
Word. Yeah.
You don't have a family.
Yeah.
Right? Right now is the time to sacrifice. If you're single and you don't have kids and you don't have responsibility, now is the time. I can't make crazy last minute decisions or some crazy investments without thinking twice about it now that I have a family. I have a wife, I have a daughter. I have to take more calculated risk. But when I was single and when I wasn't married, man, I didn't care what it was. If you are the only person that you have to really care after, as long as you're eating and you have a roof over your head, screw it. Like you're golden. But the thing is, people want to start a business and automatically be like Steve Jobs or Michael Dell. They want to be millionaires and billionaires without doing the work.
Yeah.
And that's why it takes a unique individual to be an entrepreneur.
Are you saying that it's over for somebody that that is married or has kids?
No,
Or
it's
if
not
it
married,
is-
but you have to be responsible.
Yeah.
We have to be adults.
I think a big fear. I mean, especially, not to even mention like to throw out Austin, Texas, but I think a lot of people too. It's a fear to be like, am I going to end up homeless? Am I going to end up seeking needing intensive financial help if I do take this risk and it doesn't?
I have a question for you. If you quit your job, let's fast forward 3 or 4 months, do you think you'd be able to go back and get that same job?
Yes.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
That job will always be there. I guarantee you that job struggles finding people. For me, it was the hospitality industry. I can go back to that same hotel that I quit 7 years ago, and I guarantee you they would hire me. You will always be able to go find a job. And for those of you that don't know what job stands for, it stands for just over broke. That's simple.
Word.
So if you're worried about failing, if you're worried about your business not taking off, just stop and ask yourself, will I be able to come back to my place of employment?
Yeah.
And if you could say yes, what are you tripping about? Seriously.